This is serious business. And when we see folks talking about transparency, you want to debate transparency? You've got one candidate in this race who's released decades worth of her tax returns. The other candidate is the first in decades who refuses to release any at all. You want to debate foundations and charities? One candidate's family foundation has saved countless lives around the world. The other candidate's foundation took money other people gave to his charity and then bought a 6-foot-tall painting of himself. I mean, he had the taste not to go for the 10-foot version, but you want to debate who's more fit to be our president? One candidate who's traveled to more countries than any Secretary of State ever has more qualifications than pretty much anyone who's ever run for this job, and the other who isn't fit in any way, shape, or form to represent this country abroad and be its commander-in-chief. So, somehow, as things go on, because we've become so partisan, our standards for what's normal have changed. And Donald Trump says stuff every day that used to be considered as disqualifying for being president. And yet, because he says it over and over and over again, the press just gives up. And they just say, well, yeah, okay. They just stop. I was opposed to the war in Iraq. Well, actually, he wasn't. But they just accept it. So the bottom line is that we cannot afford suddenly to treat this like a reality show. We can't afford to act as if there's some equivalence here. To be president, you have to do your homework, and you have to know what you're talking about. And you've got to apply steady judgment even when things don't go your way. And you've got to make the tough calls even when they're not popular, even when they take years to pay off. And you've got to be able to handle criticism without taking it personally. Just brush it off and then go ahead and get the job done. And that's something I learned. And that's what Hillary learned as a senator and as a Secretary of State and as a First Lady. And yes, she's got her share of critics just like I do, and she's been caricatured by the right and sometimes by the left. And she's been accused of everything you can imagine and has been subjected to more scrutiny and what I believe is more unfair criticism than anybody out here. And she doesn't complain about it. And you know what? That's what happens when you're under the microscope for 40 years. But what sets Hillary apart is that through it all, she just keeps on going. And she doesn't stop caring, and she doesn't stop trying. And she never stops fighting for us, even if we haven't always appreciated it. And look, I understand, we're a young country, we are a restless country. We always like the new shiny thing. I benefited from that when I was a candidate. And we take for granted sometimes what is steady and true. And Hillary Clinton's steady.